So how's it going, Christian? It's been about just over a month since we had our last discussion. How's everything going?
Amazing, brother. What can I say? I mean, we talk almost every day, right? But the expectation that I had to what we were doing wasn't even close to what happened then, right? We released the first episode and things got completely wild, right? Your audience is such a lovely crowd of people who are so interested in what we are doing. They literally start asking questions, like really digging into what we are doing. And it was for me entirely new to find myself in a position of being in such a spot, right? It's like you're used to that. We talked about that. You're used to that. I feel like you are kind of rock star in your community. But for me, it was like I was overwhelmed in a good way. So how was it for you? Like, how did you experience it after we released it?
So for me, the feedback that I got from my creator friends, that was brilliant. Like I was getting, so right after we uploaded the Instagram reel and the YouTube video, I was getting DMs from my friends saying that, bro, this is the first time that we are seeing someone take on this format of content. And they were all pumped that you should go, like, really deep into this. You will own this format completely. And getting this sort of feedback from people who are also doing something similar, they are creating their own personal brands, they are creating their own businesses, getting the feedback from them, that meant a lot, because I never told about what we are doing together to anyone else, right? It was the first time that they saw it as well, and to get that feedback, it was completely candid, there was no bias there. And I was really happy around how we started the first episode and also the reels that we have done after that.
Yeah, the same for me. I told you, one of my closest business partners, he is very wealthy and he made it already through his entire life. He's just enjoying the rest of his life. He's not doing much anymore. But even he was a Chris, I watched what you're doing together with Saksham, and it is so cool. Like he was really entertained in a good way. And I think what we are doing is kind of a raw insight into a real life perspective of you and me being almost the same, even though I might a few steps ahead. But I don't know if we can talk about it or if it's a secret, but you have something on the weekend. I don't know. Do people know what it is right now? Or
I mean, this video will go out after the tournament, so
true, true. So you're going to have a tournament on the weekend. I know this feeling if a fight is coming up and you like. We are so similar in certain aspects of life, and to make people aware of how different life can be, but also how same you can be in terms of values and the way you go through life is in itself so valuable that I love to share that. And to get the same feedback from my surrounding is epic as well, right? And on top of that, obviously, your audience, people who are chasing us with questions. And one of the most asked questions is, Chris, are you going to continue that? Please, are you going to do more of that? And I'm like, yeah, of course we're going to do more, right? And that's what we're going to do as well today. So I'm pumped, man. I'm absolutely pumped.
yeah, likewise. I mean, we are talking, like, several times every day, and it's always about how much we are excited around what we are doing together. Keep the stuff that we are doing separately, like, keep that stuff aside. What we are doing together, we are even more pumped about it. And there are so many other things that, like, happening. We can just talk about how uh, we have been experiencing things over the last month or so, because so many things have happened in our work as well. And I mean, like, we can talk about it later on when we do the Instagram live and stuff. I think we should just straight away get into the main part of the video, just to give more context around people, like, for people who are watching this before the last episode. This is a series called The Founder's Journey, where for around the next 15 to 20 long form videos, I'm taking guidance from Christian. He has over a decade of experience in business, and he has experience building agencies as well. And that's something that I am doing too. He's like a lot of steps ahead of me. And this is a nice way of uh, bringing forward how it feels like, how, like, how the experiences of taking mentorship from someone who has already made it in different aspects of businesses, right? Because you see other people talking about how they took mentorship in private and how, like, they got all these breakthroughs. I want to show people who do not have access to such information, who do not have access to such level of people, that this is how things are done, this is how, like, things are handled, problems are solved. And with that, I just want to provide a more holistic experience to my community. And that's where you and I, we relate a lot, even though there are like tens of things that's similar between you and I. This is an idea that you came up with, and then I found myself completely agreeing with everything that you mentioned here. And to bring this forward to my audience, I think it's really valuable. So that's like a quick overview of what we are doing together.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's highly needed during these times, right? Because as I started my business, I almost didn't use the social media platforms at all. I never have been on Instagram, TikTok, and all these things, right? For me, it was like struggling my way through it on my own, by myself. And I do have the feeling right now there is such an big pool of people pretending to be something, selling the idea of knowing how it works, selling you something like, hey, you have to do it this way. Only this is the right way. You have to do it that way. And there's literally no proof if this person really made it, right? It's easy to tell someone what to do, but it's even more difficult to do it by yourself. And I truly believe that, and that's what I love about social media, that we found each other is it should be like that. Like it's literally it should happen, right? Because it brings together the typical kind of boys we are, right? At the end of the day, we are just boys trying to accomplish whatever is possible in life. I don't pretend to be the big businessman. You do not pretend to be the big agency guy. Like we are just boys trying to figure our way through life, make our family happy, take care of our surrounding, take care of our friends, take care of our dog, right? It's just being boys, but still having this mind, and you are the same, like this pressure of your own perfectionism, the feeling of being perfect in something, accomplishing something that might look like success from the outside, but it's huge pressure on the inside because people often just see one frame of your life and they think, wow, hey, Saksham's life, I love it. I would love to have this life, but they don't know, right? They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's on your plate. And I think when it comes to these scenarios, to get an understanding of someone who went through the same journey, then there's a moment of like real power in it because you feel like someone truly understands where you're at right now without being too nice to you, because at the end of the day we have to go through it. Sometimes it needs to be harsh, someone it's getting tough, and then we need to go through it. But that's the major key when it comes to these mentorships, and it works both ways, right? Because even me, I can learn so much things from you. Like you treat social media in a way that I admire you for that. Like you really found a way to be, and I know you for a while now, you are so authentic. But like I don't see a difference if the camera goes off and I talk to you by phone, or like the camera's on. You are you. Like literally, bro. You made it at the point where I say that's unique to be so authentic. And I think that's one of the major things that I never told you, but that I feel most desirable. Like what I really truly think that is someone I saw with you and I thought I want to be the same. I want to be 100% authentic. Just be you and just be yourself and still be straight in what you're doing. And that's something that we do every time when we put on these calls, because we don't fake. We don't tell stories that don't happen. It's like we tell from a perspective of experience. And that's why I think that what we are doing, and I love that your creator friends told you the same, is worth value, right? Because I'm ready to help everyone who has a question, because I feel like all of us, all of you guys watching, me, Saksham, we went through the same journey. It is always the same. There's not a lot of difference. Of course, it's different countries, different circumstances. But at the end, we all fight ourselves in this place. Everyone, right? Everyone. And I think if we can help some people to figure out their way to feel a little bit of fulfillment to get into the starting mode, then we're doing something right.
100%. And I think that because of those reasons combined, it's not like everything that you mentioned, it's unique to you and I. There are people who feel the same way, even though they might not be at the same point in their journey compared to where we are, right? Compared to where you are, compared to where am I. Even though they are not there yet, they can relate to one or the other things, and there will be a time when there will be people who relate to pretty much everything that we are doing together. And that's why for those people it will be super valuable, because none of the stuff that we talk about, none of the things that we say, none of it is sugar coated, right? We are not talking about any fairy tale. We are not talking about something that we pretend it's going to happen. We do it first and then we are talking about it, right? And that's the power behind how we handle things. And this is a main reason why, for example, you received good feedback from my audience, right? It's the one thing that I've been talking about for like, since the start. And I've always been true to this one thing that I want to, like, make sure that it stays at my core. And that's where you and I, we related a lot to each other, and that's where, like, we built our connection. And because of that, people find a lot of value in what we are doing together.
So, as the one who is like being responsible for your audience perspective and asking you questions, because what I didn't tell you is that some of your followers ask me questions that I should ask you as well, and I will start straight in. And I tell you guys, I didn't told him that I'm going to do it. The number one question, the number one question I got is, how much do you struggle sometimes, Saksham, without telling us? Like, I think what the people want to know is, you always look like the fun guy making coffee, hustling, being like training, and you make things look easy, but they want to know, do you struggle sometimes? And yes, do you, like, how you manage?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so you put me on spot here.
Oh, yes, man.
So there was a period of about 2-3 months last year. It was right before I started started my agency again. That was the biggest moment when I was struggling, and I constantly was making content around it, that hey, this is where I'm not doing good, this is where XYZ is happening. I try to keep a balance between being vulnerable and to also show progress. So whatever people see of me that I'm doing on a regular basis, I put up videos of me making coffee, like, different places that I go to very rarely. I'm training, I'm putting out content consistently. It looks like I am, like, living a very comfortable, peaceful, perfect life, but that's not the case. I would say right now, the point where I am in my journey, about 70% of it is struggle, and 30% of it is that okay, I have something that I know I will figure out, right? I haven't figured out anything until now, right? It's just that I know what kind of a direction I want to head in. I do struggle. I do struggle where I know that okay, will my agency grow this month? Will my content perform this month? Right? Will I be able to perform good in mixed martial arts today? What went wrong? Right? Where did I like, leave a loose end within my agency, because of which one of the clients had some sort of an issue. There are days where the team, like, we are trying to deliver uh, the service to our clients, but out of nowhere we get all of the clients telling us that hey, this is where mistake happened, we didn't like this one, XYZ happened. And there are moments when I think that, is it even worth it trying to do what I'm doing with my agency or with my brand, right? I can just leave my agency completely. I can just create videos. I can, like, become another course seller, and I can make a lot of money out of it, right? That's the pathway that I know it's in front of me. But it's my choice that I do not want to do it. And because of that, there are struggles that come with it. Because again, for me, I do not have someone telling me what to do, what steps to take exactly on a day-to-day basis, right? It's me figuring it out that okay, I think these XYZ issues happened. Where what should I do now, right? And then I try something, it works really well. It does not work, then I get into the loop of, like, questioning myself again, that is it something right that I'm doing, or what's something that I'm missing. So there are moments when I question myself, Although one thing that has changed as compared to last year is that even though I have moments when I struggle, I do not lose track of what I have done until now, because everything that I have done in my agency with my own brand, right, where I was in 2020 compared to where I am right now, right, it's not like everything was a fluke, right? Everything happened because I worked for it and I figured it out around how I can make it work for me. So I know that I am capable of achieving my next step, achieving the steps after that, right? I know that that's all inevitable. The only thing that keeps me uncertain and that becomes a reason of my struggle is around, okay, I have to figure it all out myself. But on my, I do know that this is not the end, right? How I keep myself in a proper headspace and I don't lose myself. I always think about that, okay, my family is healthy, I am healthy, I do not have any long term illness, I do not have any physical injuries, touch wood. I get to train. I get to live in a really good place. I get to work from a beautiful setup. I get to, I get to live a life that I would have dreamed of 4 years ago. And if this is my worst case, then I'm comfortable feeling.
That's a very honorable way to describe it. And I think it takes time to see it that way, because what you describe, and people will resonate with that. Once you start your journey, when you go into the modus of business and you quit your job, you put everything on one card, you do not have a specific target as just doing it. It's not that you think, I'm going to build this company, then this client, this. You don't know nothing. Like, you know nothing. You can't plan anything. You just literally think, I'm going to do it now. Like, it's literally just feeling of, I'm going to do it. You might have the idea of who's your client, and you might have the idea what you're going to sell. But the level of goals you're going to set in the future is way different as the ones when you start, because in the moment of start, it's binary. It's a, I do it or I don't do it. But once you decide to do it, then you are in the modus of to measure how you do it. Like, literally, you start thinking, okay, this worked well, this didn't work well. Now I'm confronted with the fact that I could fuck up as well. Sorry to say the word, but you see yourself not as, yes, I did it. You see the one, you see yourself as the one who is literally in the driver's seat to make the right decisions at the right time. And there is no energy hidden in sacrificing yourself in a way to think that everything is bad. I failed, whatever. You learn very quickly that there is no time to put guilt on you without going into change immediately, right? Because at the beginning, you feel bad for bad decisions. You might have a bad team, and you take very long to accept that, because you are not good in the moment when you start to accept your own failures, because we never learned that in life. You have to learn that failure is okay, and you can leave it where it is by just making the decision to move on and to go into change. And that's something what you described very well, because you get to do it, right? You have the opportunity to do it. And still, I don't know how you feel, but even me, I have to prepare my mind and my mindset every day again. Literally, it's like I need to boot the system, the operational system, every day again with the things I know that are true. I know that I have to chase. Like, literally, it's a 24 hours window that you can stick to a certain modi or modus. And the next day it's from scratch. It's starting with zero. It's not like, hey, today I felt good, tomorrow I will feel the same. You have to earn it again and again and again. Like, the win from today means nothing tomorrow. And that's something that I feel, if you once get used to it, you start grinding, because then you do not chase these feelings anymore. You just follow the process. And I think you described it very well. And I feel like that provides the answer that a lot of people want to hear from you, because, as I said, bro, you make things look easy, right? You're just grinding through the game. And even me seeing you doing stuff, and I think, man, I love that, because I know what you do beside all the things. I know how much energy it takes to be in a tough MMA session. I know that after these sessions you still do calls with your team, with me, and I think, bro, man, I'm watching, and that's why I like to be around with you. you are the sum of the people that you spend the most time with, right? And that's why I think what people, and especially your audience, needs to understand when it's coming to you and your mindset, you are so hardcore to yourself. I think if you struggle or not is not even the question. I think people need to understand, and I don't go too deep into that. I know that you had way tougher challenges in your life lately as business. We had some other things, and like all of us. But the way you manage that, the mental strength, that's something that you should talk more about, because I think you think that's normal. It's not, bro. You are really good in that. And I feel like people see that and they admire you for that, because to see someone who is so strong and so successful, there's always kind of a magic in it, but the magic is not really there. It's just doing it. It's just literally doing it, right? And I think that's so cool that you, and that's one of the next questions, the coffee thing, right? Someone literally asked Saksham if he would do his own coffee brand at some time. And I thought, what the, like, where's this coming from? But here's the question, right? I promise I'm going to ask that. That's the next one, bro.
I mean, it's something that I never thought about, honestly. Like I just grew in love. So I quit drinking energy drinks like about 4 or 5 months ago, right? And
Good.
since
Very
then,
good. Couldn't support that more.
yeah. So I quit drinking energy drinks, and since then I was like, okay, I do need caffeine. I just love coffee, right? I love caffeine. So what can I do? So I got a mocha pot, and through that I've been learning how to make coffee, and then I just spend 5-10 minutes every day thinking about how do I make even better coffee, and that just became a habit. Although it's more of a leisure, relaxing activity for me. When I'm making coffee, when I'm drinking coffee, like those 15-20 minutes are of utmost peace, and I do not want to think about turning the even that into a business right now.
It's crazy, right? That people even ask that. Like they are really thinking, hey, Saksha maybe is going to do his own coffee brand. And I get the vibe, right? I see you doing coffee, and I think you would agree, right? If you spend time on creating something, even if it's a coffee, it tastes better if you really put some time into it, to creating it, and you enjoy it differently as you go to some coffee store and let's just zip it away, right? It's like you enjoy things more if you took some time to create them, and that's also relatable to business and what we do. And I mean, we are all already quite long in this episode, but to break it down where we at right now, and I want to hear your opinion as well. I see us as the ones who put some spotlight on the things that aren't that magical, that people need to understand that to start something is not as difficult as they think, but to maintain it is the real power. Because I saw hundreds of people starting a business, and I saw literally 95% quitting the business, right? Like there are so many people go lose along the way, and you need to develop that strength to be resilient in tough times and tough challenges, and you can adapt literally yourself. Look backwards, like how did you handle stress lately? How did you manage your emotional system? How much do you force yourself through a workout? Like the best example is, I don't know how it is in your gym, but sometimes I'm in an open boxing class and you have people in the warm-up and you do push-ups, whatever, and in the moment the trainer turns his back to the crowd, a few people just stop doing it just because they know the trainer isn't looking. And I think, bro, you lying to yourself. Once you go into sparring or something else, you just lie to yourself, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you have to save energy, but I think it's a lot about character, right? And the character is who you are when you are with yourself, when you're alone, right? The moments when no one else is looking at you. And that's where the magic is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I remember. So I gave a TEDx talk last year, right? And 2 days before, so the TEDx talk was on Wednesday, and I had my flight to go to Delhi on Tuesday morning, right? So during the night of Monday, I did not sleep because the three clients I had in that month, all of those clients left the agency, and the last client who left, she still owes me like thousands of dollars, and she just ghosted me. So
Wow.
that happened like 2-3 days before the TEDx talk. right? And I was sitting on a call with my team member, and I was telling him, like, for about half an hour, I was like, bro, is it even worth it? Like, we do not have clients left. We only have one client that we are working with right now. How are we going to manage? So for about 30 minutes, it was just me kind of wondering, is it even worth it? And then I was like, okay, if I got these clients until now, what's stopping me from not getting them again, right? And then from minute 31 to like the remaining call, I told him, bro, we're gonna hit XYZ mark in 3 months. You just watch, right? And that's what exactly happened by end of January, right? So it's like, okay, when we are alone, we have to be transparent with ourselves. We can't sugarcoat what's happening even with ourselves, right? If something uh, didn't go right for us and we know that we are responsible for it, there is no sugarcoating. Like, there's no blame game. You can't, if a client leaves you, if you do not have a good performing video, like all of that, it's always your responsibility. And if you keep running away from all of that, and it's very similar to MMA, right? If someone catches you with, let's say, a double jab every time, it means that you're not learning, right? It means that you are
Yes.
staying in range when they are hitting their first jab, right? So if you do not take responsibility for it, you will always live in this delusion that I am better than who I actually am, right? And that's where expectations come in, and you always end up disappointing yourself. It's very much similar to what you mentioned, doing push-ups while doing warm-ups, right? It's like people
Yeah.
end their push-ups 1 second before the bell goes, and then there are people who end their push-ups right
Oh
after the
yeah.
bell goes, right? So there's a
Oh
big
yeah.
difference. There's a big difference in that 1 second, and it's staying true to what you want to achieve.
That's true, and this is why I don't like the statement "fake it till you make it." So many people use this phrase, and I do get it where it's coming from. I do understand why people think it's powerful to fake it till you make it. But if you fake it and you still, at the end of the day, lying in bed thinking about reality, and you still fake it in yourself, I literally saw a guy who started the business with me at the same time 12 years ago. He was doing videos. He was really good in that. But he was good in selling himself as well. But at the end of the day, he went to bed and selling his own story to himself. He always said to the clients, "Look, I'm going to do the next avatar video for you." I love this quote, right? He was selling like that, right? But in the end of the day, he kept himself small because he thought all the time he already made it. And that's why I love boxing or like fighting. There's no bullshitting, bro. If you are in the ring, you get no words, nothing. It's just you like looking what's going on, and you can't pretend being good in fighting. Like, you have to deliver, right? And that's what I love about that. And it was a good example, like with the double jab. If it's also about like every opponent is different. It's like the day in the life. Every day is getting different, new challenges ahead, and you either can adapt to it or you got crushed by life. Therefore, I think, and I understood that quite late. If you see, for instance, David Goggins or all these hardcore characters, they do propagate the fact that they chase pain, they chase the darkness, they don't want a comfortable life, they stay in the pain. And so many people blame these like this quote of the people because they think, "Hey, it's not an enjoyable life. How can you live like that?" But I understand. I understand that if you have to take the responsibility for the entire business, for the entire team, looking for a moment where no pain is ahead is ridiculous, because there will be pain, there will be bad things. It's like walking in the outside to think that it's always good weather. It's nuts, bro. You might ride 6 days a week and a 7th day it's going to rain. What then, right? So I rather be prepared for tough times. And I think that's what business is most of the time about. If you have a chilly willy life, then you do not have a big business. That's 100% the truth. I quote me on that. I don't not know any person who is really successful without having serious stress or struggle sometimes, right? And not in a bad way. I mean, you need also to learn and adapt the business you have, right? If you face the same problems that you faced 3 years ago, bro, come up, level up. Then you have to think about what you're doing wrong. But I think in the moment where you need to deliver, you can't think about if it's tough or not. You just need to proceed. And that's why maintaining the business is always more difficult as starting the business.
100%. And I believe that's very much similar to where we started together, like, where we started this series together. Because obviously, like, when we had our conversations, uh, I pointed out that these were the issues that I'm facing. And then we saw together that, okay, now we have to, like, improve on things, and we have to improve around how, for example, I function. And like you said, right, for founder led businesses, if the founder is doing good, that's when the business will thrive. And until the founder has enough skin in the game, everything that the founder goes through, it reflects in the business as well, right? And for example, that was something that even, like, I experience on a regular basis. And even though I know that in the long term, right, removing myself from the equation of, like, the team, and letting the business function on itself, where I am only taking the high leverage decisions, like, it's time before we get there. So there's a lot to learn until then.
Yes, and I think to learn that, making the first step to start your business. Let's assume you don't have any business right now. You might be in college, you might be at work. It does not matter. You will face the question in a daily frequency, man, should I try to make my own business? I see these people online making money. I could do the same. And if you are in a spiral of thinking this way, you have to start at least to put some effort in this direction. And there's not, we are not even close to the question if you should quit your job or to quit college, whatever. It's more like there are 24 hours per day, right? You are wasting some of your time 100% along the way. Take just one slide of that, 1 hour, and put this in the future business you think you might can deliver to someone, and see if there's getting any traction, any feedback from whomever to what you want to do. And if you see that there is someone who resonates with what you want to open to the market or to deliver to the market, then do the step and go even more hours into it. But there is a time, and you know that from yourself, you will have a high disbalance between your existing job or college, whatever, and your business start. I remember back, I only had the money for 4 weeks. Like, I quit my job and then I only had money for 4 weeks. In this time, I needed to get any client or some client, and I made it, but I had the pressure of my life doing it. Literally, I wasn't sleeping at all. I was just chasing clients, right? And this pressure keeps you going. This keeps you doing the things you need to do. But the month before that, like 4 to 5 months before, I already was thinking about, am I going to do it? What is the right step to do it? The thoughts I had before were so unproductive compared to the phase where I just really start to do something, that I can tell you guys, if you think about to make yourself a person that is good in business, offering things online, the real struggle, but also the real gains come when you literally start doing it and stop thinking about it. Because thinking about it gives you nothing. It just provides some fake motivational feeling like, yeah, I'm going to make it. Yeah, no, you don't. It's like me thinking about, I'm going to fight Conor McGregor. Feels good in my mind. It's not never going to happen. And right, it's like thinking about things feels good for the moment, but that does not mean that they're true, right? And therefore, I feel like people need to reward themselves with their first actions into the right direction. And you and me, we went through this phase, and then you have a real grind and skin in the game, like you said, right? Then you have something that you can work on, and not a hypothetical model in your mind of how the next month could look like if you would start it.
100%. And yeah, I mean, this is like, people have to experience this, in my opinion. Because I believe most of the people who are watching this, they haven't been through a phase where they experience whatever we just mentioned right now, right?
And they would capable of doing it, right? They would be so good in that, right? You are the one watching. Doesn't matter what you do, but I promise you, you will be way better as you think you are once you commit to do it. Like, because everyone's the same. The guy next to you, your friend, your lazy neighbor, the guy from the next door, the next street, in the bus, wherever, they are all the same. They are all the same, literally the same, right? It's only the ambition that sets us apart from them. So therefore, yeah, I agree to that. Like, we need to motivate the audience to just try to do something. Like, set little goals, nothing big. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow, but let's start doing something, right? That gives you the feeling of, yeah, man, these guys are right. I can make it. I can go the first step, right? And if we can make someone feel this way, I'm literally feel fulfilled, because that's the starting point, that we need to provide the energy to the people that they feel like, yeah, maybe they are right. And especially during times from like AI, it's was never easier to do something as it is right now.
I mean, right now, the only thing that I tell people whenever they are like, bro, can I do XYZ or not? We are living in the times when we have the most amount of possibilities available at the lowest barrier right now. And if you do not, like, there's a difference between having resources and being resourceful, right? People have access to all of the resources. It's just that they are not resourceful, right? They have notebooks and pens lying around, but they never write down what they like, ideas. They have laptops, they have their phones, they have books, but they are not consuming intentionally, and they are not, like, trying to build something. It's just that if I were to, like, and this was a video that I was thinking about, is there are ambitions that people have, but the only action that they take is scrolling reels or scrolling content on YouTube. That's the only thing.
Yes,
And
yes.
if, when you have all of these things available to you and you are still not seeing progress and you are still clueless around what you need to do, like, forget about the 3-year massive goal that you have or the 10-year goal that you have. If you do not know what you want to achieve in the next 3 months, even if you have all of these resources, the only fault is yourself. Like, the only problem there is the person and nothing else.
And Saksham, I tell you, people don't understand that they are addicted to their phone. And I know everyone thinks that they know what I'm talking about, but I actually disagree. They don't. If you can't make it through the day without touching your phone for 24 hours, then you have a legit problem. Because what people do not understand is we are in a world where you get overloaded with information. I bet you feel familiar with this. You scroll and you see something and think, wow, wow, that's a cool idea. I need to make something out of it. Doesn't matter, content, whatever. I need to read that. You feel like, wow. And then 3 seconds later, boom, it's gone. And it will never come again. Like, and you will have this 10 times a day. I have a rule with myself, and I give this away. Like, I give my key, like my insights away. Whenever I have something, when I'm scrolling, that I think, wow, that's good, I need to use that, I stop scrolling as long as I didn't took that, wrote it down in my journal to make it like really black and white to a task that I can then start working on, because otherwise it's gone. And to be honest, you just are disrespectful to your mind, because your mind signals like, hey, that's good, this is good, focus on that one. And then it's like right? And you consume random, like, the worst feeling on earth, and I admit that, is when I'm scrolling and the content is really valuable and I end up at some random memes with cats, dogs, weird people, and I think, oh my god, what happened? How did I get here? And I'm literally, my mind is fried at that time, right? So understanding the power of your phone and rather create content instead of consume content is a valuable insight, guys. You need to put the phone away just for 2 hours. And this in itself will be a challenge, I tell you, right? And if you can't stay focused for 2 hours, bro, how you would like to manage the next day, the next month, the next year? It's the easiest thing to do compared to what's waiting for you if you start a business, right? And there's a lot of magic, a lot of wisdom for young people. Because I'm happy that I didn't grow up with social media, obviously. I'm older than you are. I haven't had Instagram as I was young, which is good because I feel like you guys are so more challenged with the capacity of your brain and the power of focus and attention. It's a good and a bad thing at the same time. And therefore, I feel kind of rewarded by life because I was in this exact time between I was old enough to get introduced to the phone because I knew who I am, like I knew who I was. I didn't was that easy to influence from other people, so I could consume social media easily without getting confused or like touched in a direction of, oh, need to do this. Oh, yeah, that, know this, know this. But I feel like if you are young and you see all these people talking about what you need to do and you don't know what to do because don't have any experience, that's tough. That's tough. You need to create some legit thing that you know it's created by yourself, that crafted yourself, that you have your own identity that you can rely on, that's not made by anyone else. Because if you don't know who you are, life will tell you, bro. Life is going to tell you who you are, and you don't want that. You want to decide by yourself who you are.
Exactly. I mean, it's like if you don't take ownership of what you are doing, you will be assigned that, and then you have to follow it.
Yeah.
Right. That's how.
That's a nice. Yeah, I love that one. That's true. I love that one,
Yeah.
Sasha. Yeah.
So, yeah, 100%. I think we like kind of went on a tangent around giving value based on the questions that we have. I think for this episode, I just have one question based on the actual, like, premise of the series that we have. So just to give you an update, the last time the two questions I had was, it's taking a lot of time for me to train my team members, and the skill transfer took a lot of time. And then the second one was, I have to deliver results for clients and I have to also increase the sales. And because I am a lone founder, right? So I do not have a partner, I do not have a co-founder, I'm the only founder in my company. So I have to take ownership of everything that's happening, whether it's the sales, whether it's the new clients I bring in, or it's the client results, or anything that goes wrong with any client, I'm the one who has to take it on the chin, right? So all of these things were happening at once last month, and I was just not able to, like, comprehend around what I have, what I can do to make it all better, because everything was so disorganized. There was no time for me to reflect and think around how can I make things faster, right? So you gave me some action pointers around how I can get rid of these things. Is firstly, it was, I had to, like, figure out what drained my energy and what gave me energy, right? So I optimized for that, and uh, all of the minor micromanagement slash tasks that I had, that I mentioned, that went into managing everything on the agency, and then creating a schedule where I just have small time blocks where I'm looking over everything that's happening within the agency, and then after that, I'm very protective of my time. Even though, let's say, I do not work in that time frame, I am doing something else, or I am working on something to accelerate the business. I did take care of all of that. Earlier, what happened was, I had a very random daily schedule, but because I was training for this competition as well, I had to like, frame and structure my day around my training, because some days I was training twice and I knew that I will not have enough energy to work 10 hours today. I knew that I would only be able to squeeze 5 hours maximum. So to do that, what the most sensible thing I found was to create better SOPs and to straight away hire an operations manager within the agency. So that's what I did. And after training the operations manager for like 2 weeks, I actually freed up around 4 hours every day.
That's epic. That's a quite good result, and I'm very happy for you because it means that you took someone, most probably because you have a really good gut feeling, that already understood the way you do business and was able to contribute to your daily life, and that's unique in itself. So it was a really good choice, obviously, the person you took. And I feel, I don't know how you feel, but I feel once you start focusing on the things that could enhance your energy, it opens an entire new window because you start to understand, oh wow, that's related to this takes energy away, I could optimize, like I could, there are so many things that you can enhance in a certain way or improve that provides energy back, that it's the starting point of real growth. And to start that, I'm happy to hear that it worked, right? So that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, because after I was able to make that amount of time, because if I'm saving, let's say 3 to 4 hours a day, I'm saving about 100 hours a month, and that's a lot of time to either spend time with family or travel somewhere or you know build something. Like it could take, like, so there's this book or a TED talk called the 20-hour rule. Any skill can be built up to a level where you get to like average or just above average within 20 hours. So if we put that into perspective, I made that amount of time with just the investment of a bit of time and money into one person. And actually it was more of a, it was, I would give away a lot of credits to luck sometimes and timing, because the operations manager I hired, she was constantly outreaching to me in my DMs and my email for over a month. And I already had a conversation with her in April, and I told her that I will get back to you once it's time. And after I had that conversation, 2 weeks after that, we had our call where you told me, and then about a week after that, I hired her, and that's how I was able to make way better use of my time. And again, the last thing that kind of we ended up on in the last call was you mentioning that I should never sacrifice my standards without any particular reason, right?
100%.
And because I got to have extra time, like it's legit, like I created time out of nothing, right? That's how it felt. So when I
Yes.
made that time, that's when, for example, our collaboration happened. The other clients we have, they were able to get better results because I was learning on my own. I was putting better time to find things to help the team, right? I was more
Yes.
productive in giving them resources to become better, and in the time that I had, I could focus more on being very specific around how I train the team members. So both of the problems solved like altogether. Although I would not say it's like 100% solved, because I am still in the process of optimizing the sales processes. But with the time that I have, like again with email campaigns, with LinkedIn campaigns, all of it, it requires some time to warm up and nurture stuff. So that's all happening. Like I think we'll be launching all of the campaigns in 2 days or something, right? So
Happy.
I put everything in place. And since we had our conversation, I mean, again, I mentioned it on the last call that we did, that you were the one who pushed me to create more and more content. And I mean, like, even the videos that we are doing together, all of the videos are doing really well. So overall, based on the action steps that we had from the last call, it's been a massive improvement.
Champ, I love to hear that because, that's if we talk about this mentor thing, it's always like being in a position of a mentor is always something difficult because, first of all, you don't have the time to do it. To help someone else and to find someone who is willed and skilled enough to do what you recommend to him is the next thing. But then there is the third thing, and that is you need to have someone that is still his like the boss of his own mind. And what I mean by that is you don't want to get a copy of yourself. You want to have someone that adapt what you say and transfers that to his life. And that's what I see, that you have such an integrity. Like, I love when we do something together, you just pick the things that really help you, where you think, yeah, that makes sense, that I can adapt that thing. I don't want to get a copy of Chris. It's more like these things make sense and I adapt them to my business. And that's why I'm so happy that these things worked for you, because this is what we want to do, right? For me, it's more like, it's not really mentoring. It's more like, we are friends. I support you. I help you. It's like me asking you ridiculous questions about content and we like exchanging our wisdom, right? And therefore, I couldn't be proud. I couldn't proud more. Like, it's really about the thing to know you recommend someone the right things that you faced in a very hard way by yourself, and these things start to work. I love to hear that, man.
And again, like that definitely had an impact on me, because see, I'm very much of the, like, I'm one of the biggest advocate of not reinventing the wheel, right? Because I know that, okay, if someone went through 100 steps of going from X to Y point, and even though everyone is in their own separate journeys. There are common points that have to be experienced within every business, right? So if you are building an agency and if you go from, let's say, zero to $10,000 a month, there are points that every single one of the agency owners will face, right? And even
Yes.
though they might have different agencies, if they have someone who points out the things that they are doing wrong, because I am again, you would know it as well. Instead of adding five new things, if you remove five things from what you are doing, you will have better results, right?
It's true.
So
Yeah. Yes.
when someone points out the obvious to you, that's when you know that, okay, this is something that I have to do now. Like, I can't sugarcoat it. I can't delude myself into thinking that I need more stuff. I actually need to be more focused around what's working for me and getting rid of what's not. So to have that guidance, it's not, again, the point of mentorship is not to have the biggest breakthroughs, in every single call that you are thinking, holy shit, I never thought of it. It's not those moments. It's like, okay, it's being told that, and without any filter, it's being told what you are doing wrong, and then you actually not objecting it and trying to see if what you were told actually holds value, and if it works, then you took a step in the right direction. And that's where I believe, the best value of mentorships come, because
I
you're
love
not going to
that.
hold
I
my
love that.
you're not going to hold my hand in every step of the way. You just guide me around where I can head in the next step, right? It's, again, because it's my business, it's my job to make it happen at the end of the day. So
Yes.
that's where I believe.
And that's unique.
Yeah.
And that's unique that you see it that way, because quite often people think that having a mentor means that someone takes you from here and takes you there, and you don't have to do the middle in between. But that's not how it works. It's like having a mentor is for me nothing else as someone is really willed to share his fuck ups with you, to share where he failed hundreds of times. Bro, we never talked about that, and I think we will do in the near future. But I think I had so many business that didn't work, or so many people I worked with, they failed, like in investment wise. And the most wisdom or the biggest learnings are always hidden in these things, right? You don't remember the good deals. You don't remember the things that worked like that. It's always the things that didn't work that well, the things where you think, that wasn't that. You always think back in your life. You rather tend to think on the moments that didn't work the way you want them to do, as if you think about the good things, right? But that's how it works, and that's why we're doing that, and this is why I love our episode. And therefore, yeah, I can't wait to do the next ones. I can't wait to do the next questions. I love that. I can't wait to get the next questions from your audience that I'm going to ask you. It's like really getting into a drive of, yeah, look guys, we are one. We are just one unit. We're crushing it. Whatever you have on your plate, just share it with us, and let's see what we can rock together.
For sure. So I think we can just move on to the question for this episode, and then after that we can just
Yep.
end the episode. So we'll cut this part out. I have like 20 minutes of space left in my SD card right now, and then I'm gonna have to change. So let's try to wrap up this episode in the next 20 minutes, because I believe, even though we planned that this episode will be 30 minutes, it will reach close to like 50 minutes or about an hour. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'll just go straight away into the question that I have, and then we can just end the episode. Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So the question that I have for this episode mainly is that, for example, I have now that I have time to do things, there are main priorities that I have, right? I have my social media brands. I have two Instagram accounts. I have my YouTube channel. I am building my Twitter. I am also building my LinkedIn, and then I'm also in the process of building my newsletter and stuff. So I'm trying to now be omnipresent, because I know that I can be productive and I can create a lot of things, right? Along with that, I have the agency. Then I have digital products that I'm working on. For example, we had a conversation about it a couple days ago. And then I have, for example, the other projects with my friend where we do the retreats. We have to do a business deal at the end of this week itself for that. And then I have the competition that I'm preparing for. And there are so many things. And a lot of times what happens is I tend to be confused around prioritizing my agency work now that I have time for it, because some days I'm like really driven and I do good work for the agency and I know that okay, today I did well for the agency, and other days something else pops up and I don't focus on the agency work then, right? And because, again, just to bring this up, you know that I have the jiu-jitsu competition for this weekend, because and since this is the first time that I'll be competing, I was losing focus of my work a lot of times, right? So my main question for this session would be that, being in the position where I am not the biggest advocate of, like, watching productivity videos or watching focus systems and stuff and trying to model that. I also know that these things will never end as I am progressing in my journey as a business owner, as a personal brand. There will be just more and more things to come in future. So how do I make sure that I do not lose focus of the things that I have already going on?
Okay, so first of all, let's frame the question. You say how I might make sure that I don't lose focus. I don't think it's a question of focus. I think you level to a point where you handle such important things like the competition at the weekend in itself is something that is a big event for you. I know that because it is a huge step to expose yourself to someone else fighting. So let's say you have reached the highest echelon for now when it comes to combat sports in your world before, like you're at the top point where you haven't been before, while managing an entire business where you also are on a level where you haven't been before. So instead of saying, how do I don't lose the focus, I would say, okay, I now have two things on the highest level ever, which is fucking good in itself. How can I ensure that I know what is the right approach and, let's say, the real possible way to maintain it both at the same time, right? Because you don't sacrifice one for the other. It's understanding that you fulfill two paths right now. One is discipline, conquering yourself in the tournament, and the process of conquering yourself is always more difficult as to conquer anyone else outside. The battle in your mind that you are fighting to get prepared to the fight is 10 times, 100 times worse than thinking about content or business issues, sales. So therefore, I want to say you didn't lose focus. You are fighting the worst battle inside while thinking to be able to maintain the business. But what's really going on is your nervous system is so afraid of the outcome of the tournament, it doesn't matter what outcome it is, that the focus is not away from the business. It's more like you're trying to survive, brother. It's literally the survival mechanism to think, what if I get hurt? All people are watching. All people know I do the tournament. I put so much work into it. It's literally like, bro, you train 6 weeks hardcore. You spend so much time. You tell your friends, you tell the people. And the funny thing is, you are tempted to think about it, what is going to happen when I win. You're there, you're winning, you're happy, but you also start thinking about, oh my god, what's if I'm going to lose, especially at the first fight. The first fight is different, bro. So what I would say is, I would force myself to spend 45 minutes every day on, let's say, because you're in fight week, I mean, you're already done with it, but let's keep it real. 30 minutes, especially if you have 2 times per day training. I would say I focus 30 minutes per day before training, before you get smashed on the mat. It's like really 30 minutes sitting down and think about, okay, what does my business need right now to ensure it goes through the next 6 to 4 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks without getting damaged in any direction? And I'm not a bottleneck, and I'm not causing any quality loss of my delivery. It's not about growth in that time. You can aim for growth once you install someone who can do that, but you don't have someone to do that. So it is about the thing that you say, okay, in the situation I'm at right now, How can I protect my business while I am focusing on the win? Because the funny thing is, if you put these things together, my friend, the win or the loss, whatever it's going to be, is 100% an enhancer for your business in both ways, right? So what you're doing is marketing for yourself. And if you see it that way, you don't think you lost focus. You see yourself crafting in the hell of preparation that you go through for that. People going to seminars, workshops for 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. You're doing literally the same by yourself. You have to frame it that way. You have to frame it this way. And the biggest power always is in the right framing. And therefore, bro, frame it that way. You're doing tough things under tough circumstances while managing your business. So ensure that you don't cause any quality loss and that you are not the bottleneck that stops other people to work. And then you accomplished already what you need to have during these times, right? And that's for the business time, right? That's for the time, that's for the fight preparation. When the fight is over, you have to spend the time at your business. That's right. But that's something you're going to do anyway. So therefore, do not think you don't have focus. You have focus, brother. Quite a lot of focus. You just frame it in the wrong way.
I think that's a really nice way to put it, because now that I'm thinking, uh, I was always making sure that I'm training at the best capacity. I was taking care of my health, and then even though, let's say, I might be productive 50% of the time that I'm putting in. Let's say if I'm sitting 10 hours in front of my laptop and I'm actually working for 4 hours, I did make sure that every necessary task that needs to happen to make sure that the system is running, I've taken care of all of it. So to frame it in that way, I do now see that, okay, it was not a matter of focus, but it was just a matter of changing priorities in the micro time frame, right? So in this weekend, my priority is my competition, but once the competition ends, that's when, we'll switch back to my default training of how I usually train on the regular days, and then after that is just managing the business again. So if we look at
And it will be always a trade. Sometimes the business owns you something, sometimes you own the business something, time-wise. And that's okay, because that's why you're doing it. Because the business also helps you to focus on the sport, provides you the money, provides you the freedom. So it's okay to focus sometimes on something else, that because at the end of the day, it's marketing for yourself. Either way, you have to tell a story afterwards, right? And being able to tell stories that crafted you is the number one mission if you're doing sales.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Um, in terms of next steps, what I'll do is, again, so it's Wednesday right now. I have the competition on Saturday, and I'm gonna take the weekend off. So Saturday and then Sunday I'll take it off, and I'm gonna be heading home on Monday. So I will not upload this episode until after the competition, because my parents do not know that I'm coming back home. So I want to keep this as a surprise for them, right? So, I'm gonna upload, I'm gonna make sure that this goes out during the weekend, and after that, once the competition is over, I'll be back into the default mode, and I'll have more questions in terms of what I'm doing, because again, like the conversation that we had around building products, I'm already underway. So once we start the pilot run for that, I'll let you know how things are going there. So yeah,
Love that.
that's like pretty much it for this episode of A Founder's Journey.
So thank you guys for watching. If you made it to that point, I think we all know that Saksham has a big challenge ahead. I don't make any predictions how the weekend is going to turn out, but what I know is that Saksham prepared himself to the best version of himself, and the best man is going to win on Saturday. And if you would ask me, and of course I would put all my cards on the man in front of the camera. So brother, I wish you all the best. I know you are tough, but it's fighting, and fighting is not always about who is the best. It's about who is the best at that day. And still, I tell you, bro, you are a warrior, man. I know you. It is whatever it's going to be. It will be a real fight, a real tournament, and I can't wait to get the feedback how it was, man.
100%. It's a completely new personal experience for me, because I have competed in athletics, I have competed in football, but to compete in a, in a sport where you are alone, And even in that, you are trying to, like, not in the literal way, but you are trying to do something that's going to hurt the opponent really bad, right? And to have that pressure while competing in front of people, right, it's a big thing. And in this competition, it's not a one-off fight, right? I am competing in two brackets. So if in the case of me going far into both brackets, I might have 6 or 7 fights in just one day. So let's see how it goes.
Heavy man. All the best for you, brother.
Yes, for sure. All right. We'll see you guys. And yeah, take care.